Hello AOS fans, it's me Pete, and I'm back to you with another deck video. This one's for another best of 3, but this is a Patreoner best of 3, so only our Patreon supporters will get the second and if there is one third games. All you rest of you guys on YouTube and so on, you will just get the first game, so maybe you want to go check us out on Patreon. There's lots of best of 3 games sitting there now that nobody else on YouTube has seen. Maybe worth a punt. You never know, you never know. Anyway, crashing on with the deck. Who am I playing? Well, I've had some terrible luck of late. 16 games I think I've lost in a row, not just of Underworlds but of other games as well. 16! And it starts to sting a little after a while. So I'm going back to basics here and I'm picking up one of my old favourites, Garrek. Garrek Gorebeard and his lads. I've got a soft spot for him, and you know what, I hope he can help pull me out of my doldrums, because he's always helped me in the past. There's a bit of Garrek, always helps you put a smile on your face. So here we go, this is the deck I'm going for. It's not subtle, it's Khorne, so there's a lot of killing going on, but I have put nearly all of my restricted cards into my objectives apart from one Gambit, and I think you can probably guess which Gambit that is. But anyway, let's crash on and see what we got. So the first card is a Blood for the Blood God. Score immediately 3 or more charges. That's definitely going to be happening. Hopefully I can get that early on when I still have 3 people. It begins, 1 person from each side dead. I love that one because it's great end phase card. Doesn't matter if you've got people dead, as long as one of their guys is dead as well, that's a guaranteed score. And Khorne cares not. 2 glory if 5 people are dead. Well, unless I'm going up against Stormcast, 5 people dead at some point should be doable, and that's another 2 glory, which is pretty much unstoppable because it's 5 of any fighters, not enemy fighters. I then have Advancing Strike, that's a given. I'm fast and I'm going to be killing people. And I've got Change of Tactics. Being able to just go on guard and then charge the next turn around. Pretty much a guaranteed instant score glory. I will take that, thank you very much. I then have Escalation, another one of my restricted cards, but a guaranteed card to score almost all the time unless it comes out in the first phase. I've then got Precise Use of Force, which I have a big spread of damage, so that should be easy to score as well, and another instant score at that. Supremacy because I've got numbers and I've got speed, so I should be able to hopefully pick that up at some point. Catching up because Robin is wily, he's tricksy, he will probably be beating me on glory, so I might as well get one of the cards that makes it almost impossible for him to stop. And then I've Dashed Hopes. Whoever he's playing, he's good at inspiring his guys. The minute one of those guys inspires, if this card's in my hand, they will have a giant red arrow above their head. I've then got Peerless Fighter. It's an immediate score for 2 glory, which is pretty massive. You do have to roll 2 or more crits in your attack roll though, which is a pretty high ask, but I've got some cards in here that I hope will help me with that, and I'll show you those in a moment. And my last one is What Armour. Make a successful attack with Cleave. Well, depending on who Robin is, that Cleave might help me out or it might not, depending on whether he's a dodge-based warband, but I do have a couple of ways of getting Cleave out, so hopefully that will be easy to score. So those are my objectives. I've got 6 instant scores and no third end phase cards in there. I was tempted to put Superior Tactician in there, but then I'd either have to get rid of Advancing Strike, Change of Tactics, Escalation, or Precise Use of Force. Out of all of those, possibly I'd get rid of Change of Tactics and put in Superior Tactician, but then that drops me down on an instant score card. So I don't know, it's tricky, I don't know what I'd do there. Have to see how this deck goes really. So I've got a 22 card deck, so my Gambits, of which there are 11, are as follows. I've got Blood Offering, choose a fighter, suffer a wound and roll 2 extra attack dice. My key for this deck is roll as many extra attack dice as possible and get as many cards in my hand as possible. I then have Insensate. One of my guys can only take 1 wound. If he's got somebody beefing up with a lot of plus damage, then that's really handy to throw a spanner in the works for them. Skulls for the Skull Throw next, my first of draw extra cards, take 2 if I kill someone. Distraction, because it's always handy to be able to move your opponent around. I've not taken this card for a while, and you know what, I think the ability to throw your opponent's plans off with a well-placed distraction or possibly an earthquake can be absolutely life-saving. Can stop them scoring supremacy, can stop them scoring loads of other things as well. So that is my plan there. I might in the future take distraction out in favour of earthquake. It is a restricted card, so possibly it won't make the cut, but I don't know, we'll see. Distraction anyway. Duel of Wits next. Opponent plays a ploy, you can pick up 2 more cards, always useful. Fuel by Fury, reroll any attack dice for the next attack. Well, I'm hoping to roll a lot of dice, so hopefully this will give me a chance to even more increase my chances of scoring Peerless Fighter. Improvisation, never taken this card before, but discard all your power cards and draw 3. Now I'm hoping that I can get this with a load of others that I can use up, have nothing left in my hand except Improvisation, and then use that to grab another 3 cards. Could be very handy. And then our last chance, always going to take this in a dodge based deck. 66% chance of surviving an attack, I will take those odds, thank you. And of course my other restricted card is a Gambit, and it is ready for action! Chance to get an extra attack in or a move, I will take that one please. I've then got quick advance, move 2 of my guys with 1 hex, very handy if I'm going for supremacy or if I want to try and lock off someone's path of escape or get people away from somebody else, see how it goes. And Haymaker, +2 attack dice but no defense dice for the rest of the round. My plan would probably be to use Haymaker late on in a round so that I don't suffer the having no defense dice problem, but it might be worthwhile throwing someone out there if I can use Haymaker and possibly something like Blood Offering. You never know, it could all add up to a rather large number of dice to be rolled. Now I did say I want to try and roll as many dice as possible in here, and I don't have any of the +1 attack dice cards. It's just because I really wanted to take some of these other cards. I would need, because it's a 22 card deck as well, I've got Improvisation, Jewel of Wits and Skulls for the Skull Throne, which means I can draw in up to possibly an extra 7 cards. So out of the 22 I've got, if I can get all of those out, I can get through my entire 22 card deck in the entire game without disposing of my first round cards. That could be very handy indeed. So onto my upgrades. Again, I have 11 of these because you have to have 11 upgrades. You've got to have at least half your cards have to be upgrades. My first card is Blood Slick. I don't like the fact that Garrek doesn't get any extra defense dice when he's inspired, so I'm giving him Blood Slick to get that one. Next one is Frenzy. Roll an extra attack dice when they make a charge action. More attack dice, more chances of hitting. I think Acrobatic, another +1 defense dice. Probably wouldn't give that to Garrek unless I'm feeling particularly bold. Maybe I'll stick that on Saik or Carsus depending on how things are going. Then Concealed Weapon. I'm planning on rolling lots of extra dice, so if I'm going to roll lots of extra dice, I'm going to aim to get some of those crits. I might as well get a +2 damage bonus out of it as well. Great Fortitude and Great Strength next, because you can never go wrong with an extra wound or an extra point of damage. And then Light Armour, another extra attack dice, but you can't use crits on your defense. Well, I'm not really expecting to defend that many attacks anyway, so I'm not too fussed if I lose that. I then have Unparalleled Strike. Now this is where Peerless Fighter comes in. You get 1 dice, it's a hammer, and it does 2 damage. It's pretty average, but rolls of hammers are considered to be crits for that attack. So if I can get that, and I can get something else which is going to give me some extra attack dice like Haymaker or Frenzy, so a combination of all those other factors, then maybe I can get 3-4 dice out. That's almost going to guarantee me getting 2 crits because it's a 50-50 chance on each dice, 2 hammers and 1 crit. My hope is to get Unparalleled Strike out with some extra dice cards and Peerless Fire at the same time. That would be 2 glory mid-turn on an attack. If I can get 2 crits, that is worth it in my books. The only other objective I think that can give you something approaching a 3 glory mid-turn boost is Obliterated, and that's a Snurk only. So we shall see. Anyway, we'll see if it's worth it. I then got Fame My Crystal because I move fast, but sometimes it's really handy to get to the other side of the board very quickly. Mutating Maul, this gives me my other chance for Cleave for What Armour. It also gives me a knockback option as well if I need it, and it's 2 hammers, 2 damage. And Potion of Rage, another 2 dice to my attacks. Like I say, hopefully get that out with Unparalleled Strike and Peerless Fighter. Could be very handy indeed. Now I did consider on taking a deck where I just put in the Tomb of Offerings and Grizzly Trophy for Garrek, and then I just tried to make Garrek the nastiest killing machine I possibly could. The trouble with that is my dice and cards always seem to conspire against me, and I just probably wouldn't get the cards out that I really wanted for Garrek. And I think there's an inherent risk, obviously, with putting all of your eggs in one Garrek-shaped basket. So I shied away from that one this time. I mean, it would be awesome to get both those cards on him and have him getting 3 glory for every kill. The only problem you got there is if the cards are sitting on the bottom of your deck, then you are SOL. So I decided to go for this because this way, most of my guys can become fairly killy. I can put Great Strength on anybody to up their damage. I can give Concealed Weapon to Targor or Arnulf, and that'll up their damage to 3 or possibly 4 if I can get those crits out. And my main hope here is that I can get Peerless Fighter out with some of those other cards to really boost my mid-turn glory. Now in the past, me using the various cards combined together to get a glory score has never done well for me. So, you know what? Historically, this hasn't gone well for me when I've tried to combine a load of cards to get some glory out. But yeah, I think the Peerless Fighter could be easier to score than some of my other attempts. All I got to do is roll a ton of dice. I like having the 3 cards in here to give me the ability to get 7 extra cards out. being able to cycle through my entire 22 card deck without having that pressure in the first round of wondering, do I get rid of these cards, do I keep them, am I going to have time to get through to enough of my other cards for what I need. I like having a lot of cards in my hand wherever possible. Obviously improvisation, I have to discard everything, so my key there would be to use everything first, but Skull to the Skull Throne and Jewel of Wits is very handy. You could potentially end up with about 7 cards in your hand, and if you can get a lot of the extra damage cards and all that at the same time, the right upgrades, I'm pretty happy with the way this deck is structured right now. The 6 Instance Glory is great. The only thing it's lacking really is a 3rd End Phase 3 Glory card. Maybe I'll look to get rid of something like maybe Catching Up, and then I'll put something else in there at some stage. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I don't know who I'm coming up against, so this deck has been built to hopefully take on either your multitudinous warbands like the Spooky Boys, the Skelly Boys, the Goblins, anybody like that. But I also think with the number of dice I'm rolling, the damage that I can pack into this, that I can take on Stormcast as well with my speed. So whether Robin's going defensive or offensive, I think Garrek has something for all occasions here. And that's why I think Garrek is still one of my favourite warbands. There's always something you can do with him. So anyway, let me know what you think. Are there any cards in here you would get rid of? Any cards that you think I'm missing? Anything that you think could be a problem in the setup that I've gone with? Do let me know in the comments below, and we shall see you soon in the Mirrored City.